Year after year, I sit in front of my computer and do reviews on all kinds of tabletop RPG books and tabletop RPG products, so you can make educated decisions on what to buy for your table. And 2023 wasn't any different. So I decided to really challenge myself and create a top 3 of books I reviewed in 2023. Hi there fellow roleplayers and game masters, my name is Mr. Trask, and before I give you my top 3 books I reviewed in 2023, there's 2 really important things that I want to say really quickly. The first one being thank you so fucking much. I'm almost at 10k subscribers on this channel, which isn't even the most important part. The most important part is that a few years ago, I set out to create a channel right here on the YouTube to do positive reviews for tabletop RPG books. And positive reviews, I mean that I'd only talk about products and books that I find could add value to your game, could add value to your players, to yourself as a GM, to your table in general. So I've been doing that constantly. I've never brought a product down. If I don't like a product, I will just put it aside and not talk about it, because it's just not my right to destroy somebody else's work, even if I don't like it. Maybe somebody else would possibly, potentially like it. And that positivity really shines through in the community I created around my channel, if I can say so. Like in my comment section, in my Discord, on Facebook, on Twitter, I rarely get negative people. I rarely get trolls. I always get people like helping each other in the comment section, just recommending products, talking about products, and just being positive about the tabletop RPG scene. And that is the thing that I am the most proud of. I am by far not the biggest tabletop RPG channel out there, and it is not my mission to be the biggest tabletop RPG channel out there. It is my mission to continue what I'm doing right now, just steadily grow my channel if I can, but most importantly, have all of you in my community, like the passive listeners, the commenters, the Discord people. Like I wish I could create a new campaign and play with all of you in this lifetime. I sincerely do. So that is just a really important part of what I wanted to say going into 2024. The second thing that I want to say is that if you like the channel and if you want to see me continue doing what I'm doing, there's 2 things you can do for me. Well, there's a few things you can do for me. First of all, of course, subscribe and watch my videos till the very end with the volume on, because that helps the algorithm. But another thing you can do for me is support me through various means. You can donate on my Ko-Fi page, which gives you absolutely nothing. If you can drop a $5, drop a $10, drop 20 bucks, I don't know, I don't care. Even if it's $1, it will help the channel and it will help me continue what I'm doing. But I also have products. I have an adventure that I've written with JVC Perry that you can buy the PDF on DriveThruRPG, but you can also go to my Ko-Fi shop where you can buy it. If you buy it there, I actually take a little bit more cash than from DriveThruRPG. You can buy the PDF there. You can buy this soft cover version of the 5th edition adventure with it. There's Dungeon Master screens, a fold-out map, there's player handouts, all of that stuff. There's still for sale. Also, the Cypher System version of this book you can also buy on that shop. Now, there is a PDF version that if you buy that, you also get a print code from DriveThruRPG, so you can print the book for yourself from DriveThruRPG at an at-cost price, just like $3 or $4 or something like that. So if you want to support me further, just buy some of my books or drop a $5 on Ko-Fi, because that helps me out a ton. I just legitimately realized that it's not Ko-Fi, but it's Ko-Fi, because it's for you to help me drink coffee. Now, without further ado, let's get to my top 3 of books reviewed in 2023. Now, just to get this clear, these are books I reviewed or talked about on my channel in 2023. That does not mean they got released in 2023. I went through the entire list and I talked about a shit ton of books. But I've split them up into 3 following categories: a campaign setting, an adventure, or a toolbox. And with a toolbox, I mean everything that is not a campaign setting or an adventure. Now let's start with the hardest one, which is the best campaign setting. And it is the hardest one because I found out that I talked about a lot of campaign settings on my channel last year, 2023. I talked about Numenera, which is science fantasy. I talked about Svilent, which is Viking-esque gameplay. Thrones and Bones, which is also Viking-esque gameplay. There's Brancolonia, which is a spaghetti fantasy campaign setting. And I still stand by my opinion of those campaign settings being really, really, really good. But one campaign setting that you can probably already guess that stands out neck and shoulders and maybe even belly button above the rest is and will always remain to be probably Old Gods of Appalachia. This is not only the best campaign setting, this is probably my favorite RPG book ever. It grows on me day by day, and it gets better the more I read it. It is a big chunk, so I haven't read all of it. I read it in smaller chunks, but I still remember opening the box that had this. Montico Games decided to send me a box full of stuff. There was a lot of stuff. It was a big box. It's a lot of stuff, and I still remember opening this thing for the first time and seeing it and just being blown away by the cover, by the art inside, and then I started reading, and just like the atmosphere, like even the parts that don't really have art, just the atmosphere of the book is just, it is absolutely insane. Now, I realize that it's not for everybody. It is, after all, a horror tabletop RPG based on the horror podcast by the same name. The horror podcast is very popular, and I've started listening to it because I got my hands on this book. I didn't hear about this book before. I got my hands on this book, Googled it, saw that it was a podcast, and I was like, oh shit, that's a podcast. And then I read in the book, it's a podcast. This world is based on the world from the podcast, and the podcast is really, really good. It's really good. It got me into podcasts. I normally never listen to podcasts, and this really sets the same atmosphere as the podcast. And on top of that, it's just perfect for the cipher system. The cipher system is simple, it's fast, and it doesn't get in the way. And when you play a horror game based on a region, Appalachia, that exists in the real world, and its dark history with slavery and I don't know, stories about monsters living in the woods and all that crazy stuff that surrounds Appalachia as a region, the cipher system is perfect for that. So I just wanted to start off this video, this top 3, with what is probably, for me, this is the benchmark on how to create a tabletop RPG book at this point in time. Now, I reviewed quite a few adventures in 2023, but there's a few that absolutely stood out for me. First of all, there is this one, Isle of the Dreaded Curse. Well, the cipher version of Isle of the Dreaded Curse is what I talked about in 2023, which is still available on my Ko-fi shop, together with the 5th edition one with Dungeon Master screens and all that stuff. Support me on Ko-fi. But I will not select this one because I've written and created this one myself with JVC Perry, of course. Then there was an adventure called Super Bowl, which I still really, really, really love for its ID and its humor and its wickedness. But then there is one adventure that takes the lead for me easily, which is Escape from Undergarden by JVC Perry. And the reason that I like it that much is, first of all, it's written by JVC Perry, one of my favorite writers, all-time favorite RPG writers out there, who became a personal buddy of mine because I worked with him on my own adventure, and he just creates really good fantasy adventures for 5th edition. Now, Escape from Undergarden has a few tricks up its sleeve. First of all, its writing is good because it's JVC Perry. Its artwork, I cannot put my finger on it, but it feels and looks different than anything I've seen before. It just gives a different vibe. It's still fantasy. It's still a Dungeons and Dragons or whatever you want to call it, but it is just different, and it is just so high quality. And the layout of that book, together with the artwork, together with the writing, just brings a incredible adventure that takes players from a village, because JVC Parry always starts with a village because he's really good at village building, with like the NPCs and the stores and the inns and all that stuff. Takes them into a forest that then turns out to be a prison, and they need to escape from that prison, and that prison is called Undergarden. So if you are looking for a new adventure to pit against your players for 5th edition, make sure to check Escape from Undergarden out. And then the best toolbox I talked about in 2023. I talked about a lot of books that could fit this category, because with a toolbox, I mean everything that is not a campaign setting and not an adventure. Just a bunch of rules that can help or add stuff to your game. From a city builder to a book called Home Field Advantage, which gives every monster a home field advantage. In other words, a lair action. There are these books by Kobold Press where that auto generates, and also by Nord Games, by the way, that auto-generates a city or a keep or an NPC. There are books from Montico Games with like all the white books, for example, for superhero gameplay, fantasy gameplay, sci-fi gameplay with Cypher System, all of that stuff. But there is one book that really, in terms of usefulness in general for like every session, and in terms of value for your money, that takes the steal, and it is this. Which is of course cheating, because these are 2 books, but I'm considering this one book. This is Deep Magic Volume 1 and Volume 2. So there's 2 reasons why I think this is incredible. This is first of all incredible because of its high value. I don't know what this box will set you back exactly. It says it will set you back US dollars, $130 US, for 2 big books full of new spells, new schools of magic, 2 full new classes, a shit ton of player options, so much more stuff that you can use game after game after game. This is not the kind of thing that sits on your shelf waiting to be used. No, if a player wants to use this for their spells, for their magic caster, or use a gem, you will be probably using this every session. The second reason why I like it this much is because it comes from another book, Deep Magic #1, and I totally forgot to grab that before I hit this record button, so I do not exactly know where it is right now, but it's right here. It's right here. Deep Magic Volume 1, which was the target of a lot of complaint, because a lot of people said, like, as good as Kobold Press is, this feels unplay-tested, unbalanced, a lot of things. I generally thought it was a good book. I still do think this is a good book, and you can totally pick this one up and I have a lot of fun with it. Just some spells, just consider them if they would work for your game or whatever, because they seem a little bit unbalanced. Going from this into this is what really sets it apart. This is what tells me, and what just tells me, that Kobold Press is one of the best companies out there. They listen to the feedback, they listen to the community, they talk with the community on Twitter, on Facebook, whatever. They're always active. The people that work at Kobold Press even get into like the discussion. Even like the people that worked for Kobold Press get into the discussion and just create this sense of community and everything. And then you get, as a result, you get this Volume 1, Volume 2 of Deep Magic. Absolutely worth $130 for the sleeve version. You can also get the books without like the sleeve. It will be a little bit cheaper then, but if you are serious about spellcasting or playing a wizard or a sorcerer or whatever, even cleric, I don't know, spellcasting fighter, and you want new feats, you want new abilities, you want new spells, you want new subclasses, new schools of magic, new styles of magic, new creatures to summon, or new classes to play, Deep Magic is it. And that's my top 3 of 2023. Now I have a lot of huge plans for this channel in 2024. No, actually, I'm just planning on doing exactly the same thing that I've been doing before, but with a little bit more focus on different games. I got an entire Shadow Dark package coming up. I want to do some more Pathfinder, like looking into Pathfinder, seeing what I like there. I want to look into some other smaller games, maybe some really hidden, find some real hidden gems and all that stuff, and continue to talk about Tales of the Valiant, continue to talk about 5th edition, continue to talk about the Cypher system in 2024, and I hope for many many more years. Again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for dropping in my Discord and saying hi. And until next video, bye-bye.